Hey, Magic friends, welcome back. This is your captain speaking here on Captain Clyde's MTG, and boy, has today been a day and this spoiler season been rough. So some more leaks came out, or spoilers, for new Phyrexia today. Today there was roughly 150 leaks, I think, that came out, some of which were already leaked. A lot of items have already been leaked before, so even when they do come out, I'm not going over them because we've already seen them. So this is going to be a part two to the 119 leak because more stuff came out throughout the day that I didn't get in the first wave. And after it's all said and done, there's only like 8 cards left in theory. 263 have been spoiled out of 271. There's only 8 cards left to be spoiled in the main set. After which we'll do a commander leak review and the whole 9 yards. So yeah, it's been a really weird spoiler season. So we'll run through a couple real quick. Hopefully, it doesn't take too long. And tune in tomorrow for another quick 8 leaks, I guess, as we should wrap it up tomorrow. Followed up by the Dominaria box value report. And then we get to start into the collector box openings. Seems good. All right, guys, so let's get started. So we have Baliska Skull Bomb. So there's a Skull Bomb for every color. So I won't go too much detail past that. But as we go to each one, I'll let you see them. So the Skull Bombs lay for one. They're much like Spell Bombs. For one, you can draw a card. For a white and three, or three of any normal color, you can. This one will let you put +2/+2 and gains flying to a creature and draw a card, but you only activate sorcery. But for you get the draw card ability for one, and then the extra ability of +2/+2 and flying is for the extra 2 mana. So good common. Probably gonna be see a lot of play in limited and probably commander. We'll see one for every color as we go through. Next we have Atraxis Myropod, 3 colorless artifact creature insect. Enters the battlefield with 3 oil counters. Beginning of your combat, you can remove an oil counter from this card. If you do, target creature gets flying, vigilance, death touch, or lifelink, and it's a 2/2. So great for limited. Probably as good as it's going to be. It just doesn't do enough, but it is a good card. Serum Core Chimera. So this thing, blue, red, and 2 for a 2/4 flyer. It's already decent. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on it. Remove 3 oil counters from it. Draw a card. Then you may discard a non-land card. Notice may. When you discard a card this way, Serum Core Chimera deals 3 damage to target creature or Planeswalker. Activate only as a sorcery. This seems really good. This is gonna make with the Iconoclast um, and other spells like that. We now have Swift Spirit's been reprinted. Uh, but basically, it's goes right in a blue red prowess deck. And that might be a deck that we see in standard. Who knows? Next, we have Cephalopod Sentinel, blue white 2 for a blank 5. It's a flying squid, because why not? It also has power equal to the number of artifacts you control. Um, Could be really good in limited, maybe even commander. Probably won't see a whole lot of standard play. 4 mana for a 1/5 basically because it's artifacts you control, right? Is not the best. Next, we have Unnatural Restoration. We have a green and 1 sorcery. You return target permanent from the graveyard to your hand, and you proliferate. Basically, it just pulls something out of the graveyard, except it lets you proliferate as well. So it actually makes it better if you have proliferate than most things or other cards like this in green. Pretty amazing, actually. Next, we have Viral Proliferation, green and 2 sorcery. With this one, you get to create a 3/3 creature with Toxic 1, and when the opponent has 3 more poison counters on it, you can actually cast this from your graveyard. This card is nuts for an uncommon and is going to be played very heavily. 3 mana for a 3/3 Toxic 1 is just fine. The fact that it could flashback is even better because there's nothing like getting 2 for 1 value. Next, we have the Copperplate Long Legs, green and 1, Phyrexian Spider, reach to 1/3. You can sacrifice it to proliferate. Great common. Next, Contagious Vorak, green and 2, War Beast, or Boar Beast, whatever that means, 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library, reveal a land card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest on the bottom in random order. If you didn't put a card into your hand, proliferate. Yes, it's just a common, but the ability to proliferate or get a land out of your deck is just amazing. This is probably easy and go into any kind of proliferate deck for commander or just commander in general because it lets you land search. Next, you have Canopy Stalker, green 1 for a 3/1 Toxic 2 Elf Scout. This is amazing. 2 Toxic is a big deal. You hit them 5 times, you win. That's only 15 life. This is going to be a great common, see a lot of play. Next, we have the Battleship Devourer, green 1 for an 0/3. It's a Phyrexian Beast. He gets +3/+0 as long as it has 3 more oil counters. You can tap it for 1 mana of any color, and whenever you tap it, you exile target card from a graveyard and put an oil counter on the Devourer. This does everything and makes Julian fries. It's your early turn mana creature, which turns into your late game threat, which also stops graveyard shenanigans. Like, it does everything but kill something on the board, and it will when someone blocks it. This is an amazing uncommon. It's going to see play in probably all the formats. Next, we have Rebel Salvation, red and 2 instant. Affinity for equipment, which is very interesting. Deals 5 damage to target creature planeswalker. That permanent loses indestructible to end of turn. This is an amazing way to kill anything on the board. And affinity for equipment, I mean, you can cast this thing for 1 red really easy in a Rebel deck. But to be honest, 3 mana for 5 damage, destroy indestructible, is probably just good enough in any deck. Because there's lots of indestructibility running around right now, and this is going to be the end-all, beat-all card removal. I think it's going to see a lot of play in all formats. Next, we have Shrapnel Launcher, red and 1 for a 2/2, which isn't bad. When it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a creature. If you do, destroy target artifact the opponent controls. Don't forget, even though this is common, it can sacrifice itself. So it's basically a shatter with legs that if there's nothing for you to destroy, you just have a 2/2. And if there is something to destroy, you could even destroy a token, which is a 1/1, to destroy one of their artifacts. This is going to be an amazing card in the format. It's going to see play in standard and limited, commander, and maybe some older formats too, because it's almost that powerful, just because it can kill things. Tyvar's Resistance, green and X instant. Target creature gets +X/+X and hexproof and indestructible to end of turn. This is an amazing card because you can cast it for 1 green to get hexproof and indestructible, or you can use it as a kill spell. So this is probably one of the best protection spells that there is. Not gonna lie. So I think we're gonna see this get lots of play. Next we have Charring Spawner, red, black, and 1 Phyrexian Beast. Enters the battlefield, you create a 1/1 Phyrexian Troll creature token. When another creature or artifact you control dies, put an oil counter on this thing. Remove all 3 oil counters, exile top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. It's a 2/3. Pretty good card. Pseudo draw. Gonna be real good in Anvil decks because you sacrifice your artifact creature, get an artifact creature. When you do that, put an oil counter on this. You can then look at the top card, yada yada yada. Yeah, this is gonna be a good card. Devastating Ash Cutter. Now, I've seen this, and this is going to be a pretty good uncommon. It is a red, green, and 4 for a 5/5. However, it costs 1 less to cast for each permanent you control with an oil counter on it, which could make this thing cost a red and a green or 3 mana on like turn 3 if you're lucky. This is get disgusting quick. Plus, it has vigilance, and when it enters the battlefield, it does 1 damage to each creature your opponent controls. Big limited all star, and maybe built right, could be a standard all star. Voidwind Hybrid, blue black, bat, flying, toxic 1. It's a 2/1. When you proliferate, return it from your graveyard to your hand. This is an all star in a proliferate deck. We already shown that blue black is going to have, in my opinion, a proliferate deck for toxic counters. This is another way to get toxic counters. Plus, if you proliferate, you can pick it back up. So even if they kill this thing, you don't care. This is going to be a great card for standard, and definitely limited. I mean, 2 mana, 2/1, Toxic 1, like, just amazing. We have, here's the Skull Bomb for Dross, which is black. Again, 1 delay, 1 to draw a card, 2 black and 2. You return target creature card from graveyard to your hand and draw a card. So for 2 extra mana, you get to get a creature out of your graveyard. That's what the black one does. Phyrexian Atlas, 3 colorless artifact. You can tap it, add 1 mana of any color, corrupted. When it becomes tapped, each opponent that has 3 or more poison counters loses a life. This is pretty good mana rock. It's probably going to see play in several commander decks. Um, yeah, this seems really good. Next, we have the Furnace Skull Bomb. This is the red version, so 1 delay, 1 to draw a card. But for 1 and a red, you can put 2 oil counters on target artifact or creature you control and draw a card. Don't know how good that's going to be because, I mean, oil counters are a thing in most colors, but your deck has to be built around it. So we'll have to wait and see. Then next we have the Mere Custodian, 3 colorless for a 2/3. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2, then each opponent may scry 1. Probably good for limited, that's about it. Maybe commander. The Maze Skull Bomb, which is the green one. 1 delay, 1 to draw a card. Now for a green and 2, target creature you control gets +3/+3 and flying till end of turn. Draw a card. It's weird that green would give flying. I would think that would be trample. But hey, who am I to judge? Moving on. We have the Ichor Plate Golem, 3 colors for a 2/3. When a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it has 1 or more oil counters, put another counter on it. Creatures you control with oil counters are +1/+1. Very interesting oil counter lord, I guess. And what's really funny, you put an oil counter on him, he gets +1/+1 too. So yeah, it's really weird. Uh, a skiff, whatever that means. So this is a 4 colorless artifact that has Toxic 2. It's a 4/4, cruise for 3. But when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. This is going to be an amazing card for limited, just because you can draw a card for 4, plus have something on the field that can do damage. I don't think it's going to see play outside of that, but who knows, it might. Next, we have the Surgical Skull Bomb. That's the blue one. This one for a blue and 2. You return target creature to its owner's hands, draw a card. Um, Much like the regular bombs, but a little more expensive. And then we have a whole cycle of these lands. They all do the exact same thing. You see here the white, black, and red one. What these lands actually do is this. This is the green one. It taps for a green, and you can sacrifice it to draw a card for a green and a colorless. Enters the battlefield tap. They are spheres. It's very interesting. I think it will be a good card. It will probably see play just because the ability to sacrifice your land to draw a card will be big and limited, maybe even standard, definitely commander. Um, then of course there's also the last one, which is blue, does the same thing. And then we have Terramorphic Expanse got reprinted. Search your library for a land card, put it in the battlefield tap. We have Resistant Skywarden. This is 2 red and 3 for a 5/5 with Menace and Reach. That's an amazing on par limited card. I mean, it's probably the only thing that's going to get played is limited, but still, its Menace and Reach is amazing. Sawblade Scamp, 1 red for a 1/1 haste. When you cast non-creature spell, put an oil counter on a Scamp. Remove an oil counter by tapping it and deals 1 damage to each opponent. Pretty good. Filigree Silex, 2 colorless, put an oil counter on the Silex when you tap it. Sacrifice the Silex, destroy each non-land permanent, mana value, or remove 10 to do 10 damage to any target. We talked about this before. It's basically a Ratchet Bomb with an extra ability. I just wanted to give you guys an actual picture. Oxada Finisher, 2 red and 5 for a 7/5 affinity for equipment, uh, and has trample. So if you're playing an equipment deck, you might be able to cast this for 4, 3, hell, maybe 2 mana, depending on how much equipment you put on the battlefield. Because don't forget, a lot of the equipment in this current set will come out with for Mirrodin, meaning they come out and they have a creature attached to them. So there may be an equipment archetype in standard if you have other good things like this, but definitely an equipment archetype in limited. Prosthetic Injector, so 1 colorless artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +0/+2 and has Toxic 1, equips for 1. Not the best thing in the world, but hey, it's an equipment to get that big fat guy we just seen out. Hex Gold Halibut, 1 red and 1 for Mirrodin. First strike and trample. So this comes out as a 2/2 with first strike and trample for red and 1. Great rate. and then it is an equipment which fuels the other guy, and you can equip it for a red and 2. A 7.5 with first strike and trample is disgusting. So moving on. Um, all right, so that is the last of the ones that came out for yesterday to the best of my ability. Again, I skipped the ones that we've already went over before. Um, yeah, like I said, this spoiler season's been rough because we had that big spill of cards before the spoiler season started. Um, but with that being said, set looks awesome. It's going to be fun to draft and play. Don't forget to sub up if you have subscribed. Thank you for your time. I do appreciate it. And you want to get some sweet cards, don't forget to check the link to the eBay store. There's Patreon in there if you want to help support the channel, so do box openings. And as always, guys, till next time, be kind. And I hope to see you across from the game table.